Do we get to pour one out for Qrow? Find out right now.
Now it's time to say goodbye to the things we love and the innocence of you.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Qrow's Corner, the show for a quick review of this week's episode of RWBY, and as always, there will be spoilers. Today we're talking about episode 4.12, No Safe Haven, which was released on February 4th, 2017. And this is going to be another long review because this was the volume finale. Last week set up what should be a wild finale, and that is exactly what we got. This episode begins with Team Ranger and the RWBY Grimm, which is ugly and it is loud. Now remember that this is the thing that destroyed Qrow and killed Ren's family, but they didn't have huntsmen at the time. So the question is, are we going to get some Renvenge? Now this is one creepy-ass Grimm with long arms, a fiery craw, and a really screeching cry. But it becomes obvious pretty quick why this has been one difficult Grimm to kill over the years. It's pretty powerful. So here we are with our big boss battle, and the first target is, of course, Qrow, because he's injured. But Jean, being the strategist he is, immediately goes to protect Qrow with some help from Ren. Seriously, his tranquility semblance is super helpful in this moment, though it does seem mainly for protection, not during combat use. This Grimm has a few modes of attack. It can charge, but it also has this elastic reach for distance strikes. And while the team distracts it, Jean carries Qrow to a safe place so he can return to the fight. Now Qrow almost stops Jean in this moment, but he lets him go. And he knows he can't help, but he has just enough hope left in him that the team will be able to fight without his help. And so at this point, the fight begins in earnest, with the team working together using Jean's strategy. But like I said, this is one really powerful Grimm, probably the strongest we've seen besides the dragon at the end of Volume 3. But Ranger works really well together, though they don't have the upper hand early in this fight. Jean kicks it up a notch by using his upgraded sword. Let's just call it Arcos. It's like Pyrrha is there fighting with them and giving them a real chance. But even this inspirational attack doesn't stop the RWBY from adapting and countering their best attacks. Like I said, this is really powerful. But at the core of this fight is still Ren's anger, and it almost gets both him and Nora killed. Believe me, the fear of particularly Nora's death was real. Black screens will do that. But we get a lighthearted moment instead, and that sort of reassures us that they will survive this. Both Ren and Nora have their aura drained during this fight, even after Ren puts up a pretty vicious fight. And even Jean can see that Ren's fighting is much more about revenge than it is about strategy. Now when the two of them are about to be finished off, Nora pushes Ren away to safety underneath one of the buildings. So while Jean and RWBY keep the Grimm occupied, Nora and Ren share a very touching moment, not unlike we saw in the Qrow episode. You can see that real concern in Nora's face. She does not want him to throw his life away out of vengeance, and she literally slaps the sense into him. There's even this tearjerker moment reminding Ren of where they came from, where he sees Nora as that little girl that was being bullied. And that's when Ren reveals the knife that his father gave him. It's a symbol of who he really is and where he came from. And with it, he regains his sense of purpose and a will to end this fight with a victory. So then the team regroups and makes their final attack. And their attack is basically to trap the beast and let Ren finish it off. So RWBY, Jean, and Nora pin it down basically so Ren can deliver that killer blow. And boy, does he deliver that killer blow. And I don't know if there has been a more satisfying victory yet in this show, but this is right up there at the top. This is Renvenge. This was not just a boss fight. There was so much about the show and the characters in this fight. It shows the scars that they've been carrying, the memories of those they've lost. And it is perhaps the most meaningful fight yet that we've seen, and it delivered in spades. This was a fantastic battle. But at the end, it does make you wonder about RWBY's silver eyes. How will they factor in again? Because if she's able to stop a dragon and all these other Grimm just by activating her silver eyes, why didn't she do it here? So it does make us wonder how the silver eyes will factor again later. After the fight, RWBY immediately goes to check on Qrow, but fears that they might not be able to save him at this point. But fortune favors them, and Mistral ships arrive. A little deus ex machina, but it's reasonable. The chances of Qrow's survival still seem slim at this point, but then we get our first view of the city of Mistral. And this will definitely be an interesting place to explore in future volumes, given what we already know about the city and about the kingdom. And then the sweet syrup on this episode has Ren and Nora making Pink Lotus official, I suppose. That's for all you shippers out there. So the end of the episode leaves us with a look at where everyone is going to be when Volume 5 opens. And this is given to us as RWBY writes a letter to Yang. Apparently, she's written a number of letters during her journey across Anima. And this is also necessary given the fact the CCT system is still down. So what is everyone up to? Well, there's Qrow, and he's recovering from his wounds, which means he lives! And apparently he's going to introduce the team to the headmaster of Haven, who we know now as Leo Lionheart. Weiss is on her way to Mistral, and she pays a pilot to sneak her out of Atlas. Now you wonder if she's ready to leave her whole world behind, but you get this sense that as she is escaping, that I think she is ready and to move on, to build up her own life away from her father. Blake is also on her way out, but first she has a look at her father's old White Fang gear. She has purpose now, and Sun is there to help her achieve that purpose. The White Fang is not going to fall without a fight, and Ilya will be part of that fight, but Blake definitely has a new sense of purpose, and it'll be awesome to see how that plays out. Yang is on a ship to Mistral with a picture of Team Stark to remind her. The hope, of course, is that she will reunite with RWBY, but she might look for Raven first, and when she arrives in Mistral, she definitely goes to a crossroads, and we don't know which direction she takes. And then we have Tai Yang, who definitely misses his girls, but at least he has Vi there to protect him. As for the rest of Team Ranger, they take some time to recover as a team. Their dynamic really is beautiful, and this closing shot really does emphasize that. And I feel there's a sense of absolution there as well, to put some of their demons to rest. They've all been through a lot, but they came out of it together. Oscar is on his way to Haven, and he gets a little recruitment bug on the train when he sees a poster for Haven Academy. Meanwhile, Cinder is continuing her training with perhaps her most evoking test yet. With Emerald's help, she trains herself to be able to kill RWBY. Obviously, vengeance is still a big part of what's going on in Cinder's mind. And make no mistake, this is exactly what Salem wants. Salem wants RWBY to be there so she can give Cinder the satisfaction of killing her in front of her. And then there's RWBY herself. She's certainly grown up, not necessarily in age, but certainly in emotional maturity. She's wiser now. The journey to Mistral was transformative for her. She isn't the student RWBY anymore. Her experience as a huntress in the real world is becoming more apparent every day. And some of that innocence that she had before is gone. She's had this wake-up call on this journey. But her strength is just as real, and it's that unbreakable will that makes RWBY so strong. She talks about protecting those that are still alive and not letting the past drag them all down. But right before the credits roll, as we're feeling hopeful about the future, they give us our volume-ending cliffhanger. We briefly go to Lionheart's office, where Lionheart is having a meeting with Dr. Watts, and it leaves us no doubt that Lionheart and Salem are working together. So during the credits, we get our last song of the volume, which is called Armed and Ready. Now this volume didn't have as many songs as previous ones, which is kind of sad, but, it's their choice. But I bring up this song specifically because the lyrics are likely talking about Yang's struggles. It can certainly be applied to all of Team RWBY, but given certain lyrics, it sounds a lot like they're singing about Yang. And I mean, come on, it's called Armed and Ready. That is a Yang-worthy pun. In the final scene, though, after the credits, Qrow is up and about doing what he does best, drinking. So yay, we don't have to riot. And that's when he gets a visit from Oscar, who kindly asks for Ozpin's cane. Interestingly, Qrow doesn't even question this. He gives Oscar the cane. And it makes you wonder what Qrow knows about Ozpin. They are pretty close, and we can't wait to see how the Ozpin-Oscar story plays out. Overall, this was a superb ending to the volume from start to finish. This whole episode was excellent. We've seen some big bad fights before, but this one carried a lot of weight. And while I'm glad they didn't rush to reunite Team RWBY, you know their reunion isn't far off. But above all, this had some beautiful moments that remind you why the show is so loved. Some tearful, powerful moments. And it goes without saying, I am ready for Volume 5 and whatever new excitement it will bring. I will do a review of the complete volume in 2 weeks, now that we've seen the end. I want to watch the whole thing in one sitting to see if there's anything I missed, or watching it as a complete story reveals anything that I might have missed. And as I rewatch it again and again before October, I will likely have some more theory videos coming out as well. Let me know your thoughts on this finale episode. Was there anything particularly I missed? What did you like or dislike about this episode? Tell me your thoughts on that big boss fight. And that does it for this episode of Qrow's Corner, and I'll see you guys next time. This doesn't actually have anything in there. Hey, you made it to the end of the video. Nice work. Good job. If you like what you saw, you can just go ahead and click that subscribe button for all videos past and future. You can also head over to my website and see all the other stuff that I do, including the books I've written. So go ahead, click stuff.